Welcome to Subverse, the multiversal Reddit parody channel. All rights to any characters or universes belong to their rightful overlords. Please support the official versions. They've earned it.
Today, I effed up by trusting a strange old lady offering out fruit and unexpectedly dying in front of 7 tiny minors. So, hi. First-time poster. Long-time victim of narrative chaos. I just woke up from what I can only describe as a medically suspicious nap involving a poisoned apple, a glass coffin, and unsolicited mouth-to-mouth from a stranger. Everyone keeps saying, happily ever after? But honestly, I'm just confused, hungry, and trying to figure out why my life keeps getting rebooted every few decades with worse costumes and questionable morals. Anyway, back to the post. Today, I effed up by being polite to old ladies. Let's rewind. And I mean the real story, not the modern reinterpretation where I'm apparently a sword-wielding rebel CEO who never cleans because that's regressive. For the record, I like cleaning. The cottage was disgusting, and in that moment, I was just thankful to have something I was in control of. So there I was, 17, friendly with wildlife, emotionally dependent on spontaneous song. My stepmother, a walking cautionary tale about vanity, with a mirror that doubled as her therapist. Every morning she'd ask it, who the fairest was, and for years, it said her. Until one day, it didn't. It said me. No context, no warning, just instant homicide plans. She hired a huntsman to cut out my heart. They cut that bit from the kids' versions. Apparently, organ theft doesn't sell lunchboxes. Luckily, the huntsman took pity on me, told me to run, and I did. Straight into the world's worst forest, where the trees looked like they wanted to file assault charges. Not going to lie, I had a full breakdown, cried into a raccoon, and eventually stumbled onto a tiny cottage. From the outside, adorable. Inside, post-apocalyptic frat house, dishes crusted with something unholy, socks on chandeliers. I thought a crime had occurred, so naturally I cleaned it. By the time I'd finished scrubbing, 7 tiny men came home from the mines and found me there. They were weirdly chill about it. I wasn't their maid. It was more like rent exchange. I cooked, they didn't die. Fair trade, they were kind. Eccentric, but kind. Doc led like a man in a leadership seminar. Grumpy hated me until he didn't. Happy smiled like he was sponsored by denial. Bashful blushed at oxygen. Sneezy was allergic to existence. Sleepy snored mid-sentence, and Dopey, bless his heart, he really tried. Life got simple, safe, cottagecore before it was trendy. Then, one day, there was a knock at the door. An old woman stood there, all hunched and harmless, offering me an apple. And, because I'm polite to a pathological degree, I took it. A wishing apple, she said. I wished for safety. One bite later, blackout, curtain down, Snow White out, the dwarfs panicked, built me a glass coffin, and decided I was too pretty to bury. Which is flattering, but also concerning. No one thought of a doctor, necromancer, or maybe CPR? Nope. They just parked me in the woods and hoped for the best. Then came the prince we'd met once. He sang at me from a distance, which, in hindsight, should have been a red flag. He sees me in the coffin, dead, and his first thought is, I should kiss that. Romantic, right? Nothing says true love like light necrophilia. Apparently, his unsolicited CPR worked. The chunk of apple dislodged, I woke up gasping, and everyone cheered like this was normal. Birds sang, dwarfs sobbed. The prince looked very proud of himself. And then, out of nowhere, he proposed, immediately, while I was still woozy from death and dehydration. No time to process my existential trauma, just, want to get married? I actually said yes, though mostly because I was still half asleep. And that was my happily ever after. Except, lately, People keep rewriting it. Every few centuries, someone updates my story. They call it reimagined or modernized. In the newest one, I don't need saving, I don't clean, I don't fall asleep. I probably unionize the dwarfs and start a mindfulness brand. Apparently, empowerment means rewriting me until I am unrecognizable. But here's the thing. I was strong. I survived murder attempts, exile, and magical food poisoning. Alone, in the woods, with no Wi-Fi and only woodland creatures for therapy. That's resilience, not weakness. And these poor dwarfs, they get rebranded every time. Sometimes they're mystical forest beings. Sometimes height-neutral spiritual guides. No, they were miners with unionized beards and questionable hygiene. Representation's great. Accuracy's better. Also, apparently the apple isn't a big deal anymore because a princess can't be defined by fruit. Okay, but the fruit killed me. That's like remaking Jaws and saying, we felt the shark was too aggressive. And don't even get me started on the kiss. The modern crowd can't decide if it was romantic or deeply problematic. Look, I was dead. I don't know the consent protocol for corpses. A waiver. A seance? He didn't mean harm. He just didn't think it through. Which, honestly, describes most men I've met. But here's what really gets me. Everyone acts like I was some helpless porcelain doll waiting for a man. As if surviving assassination, managing a household, and coming back from literal death counts as passive. Sorry, I didn't stage a revolution. I was busy being poisoned. And now every remake turns me into this motivational warrior shouting about destiny with perfect hair. Sweetheart, I couldn't even hold a broom without humming. Let's manage expectations. The prince keeps saying people will love the modern updates. He even asked if I do press for it. What am I supposed to say? Hi, I'm Snow White, the original victim of brand dilution. I don't mind reinterpretation, truly. But could someone, somewhere, remember the original point? I wasn't perfect or fearless or revolutionary. I was just trying to survive. I was a girl who wanted to live more than my stepmother wanted me dead. That's it. That's the whole story, and honestly, that's enough. Maybe it's not flashy enough for a cinematic universe, but it's human. I didn't slay dragons or lead armies. I cleaned up after miners and kept singing when everything tried to kill me. It's not glamorous, but it's real. So, yeah, that's my unedited version. A naive princess, a jealous queen, 7 unhygienic roommates, 1 bad apple, and a very confused prince. And despite everything, I wouldn't trade it, because at least my story had dwarfs who sang, a fruit that mattered, and a moral that wasn't written by a marketing team. Anyway, the prince is calling, something about a new portrait. He says it'll be timeless. I told him fine. As long as no one hands me another apple or a sword. So yeah, that's how I died, got kissed awake, and somehow became a century-long debate about feminism, fruit, and franchise fatigue. Maybe the real poison was public opinion all along.
Thank you for visiting the Subverse. If you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe, and share it with your nearest universe. For multiple uploads every week, and to make sure you don't miss the next transmission, hit the bell before reality resets. That's enough for now.